Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. So, guys, we see Jakarta, Indonesia. Officials warn more extreme rainfall expected, and they announced the use of weather modification technology to combat floods. Wow, this is Indonesia. What comes to your guys' minds? When you see Indonesia saying they're going to use weather modification technology to fight the flooding. To me, right off the bat, when I see this, God, it draws me right to the California fires. And people had brought that up before when we were having lives. Why, when we know weather modification is real, would they not use weather modification to put out the fires? It just makes you ask why. It doesn't make any sense that we would not use weather modification to put out the fires. There are so many planes in the sky every single day. We see them. They're not contrails. There are some with contrails, and then there are some that are not spreading contrails. And, the first big purpose that came out was weather modification. We know that. There's declassified documents about it. So why are they not using weather modification out in the open to combat the California fires that we've had now, 3 intense seasons, 3 years in a row? So here you see a day after massive floods hit Jakarta, claiming the lives of at least 23 people, city officials warned residents and tourists more extreme rainfall is expected through the rest of the month and up to at least mid-February. At least 23 people were killed since heavy rain started December 31st, 2019. At least 8 are still missing. In Jakarta alone, more than 62,000 people were forced to evacuate, while several million lost power, drinking water, and internet connections. On January 2nd, the head of Meteorology, Climatology, and Geophysics Agency, BMKG, Dwikorita Karnawati, warned residents and tourists more extreme rainfall is expected over the next 2 weeks as the flow of wet air from East Africa reaches the country on January 10th through 15th. Furthermore, the movement of wet airflow will also continue in late January to mid-February. And there's a lot of photos here showing rescues going on. Look at the little baby they're rescuing in a little bin. A number of regions that are predicted to be affected by the rain with high to extreme intensity, according to the BMK prediction, includes central Sumatra, Java, southern Kalimantan, and southern Sulawesi to the southeast. Therefore, the community is asked to prepare everything in anticipation of possible disasters. In an effort to anticipate potential disasters from such extreme weather forecasts, the Agency for Assessment and Application of Technologies, BPPT, Weather Modification Technology Center, getting tongue-tied today because I'm so excited about this, is ready to help tackle major flooding with weather modification technology. They're going to use it to accelerate the process of rainfall in the hope the rain will fall before the clouds reach the capital and surrounding areas. So the plan is to cause the rain in the Sunda Strait or Lambung, but if the wind blows to the east, the rainfall will be directed to dams. So, they're basically going to, I think, what they're saying is they're going to seed it so that it rains before it gets there. And it does say that in October 2019, the agency said they successfully dropped hundreds of cubic meters of rainfall to overcome widespread forest fires. So why the hell is the U.S. not doing it? And why is Australia not doing it? Because Australia is going through it too. I mean, how many, and this, by the way, is their website. I'll have the links for you guys. How many people lost their homes, their lives, family members, friends, vehicles, all their possessions? And look at Australia. Nearly 500 million animals have been killed in Australia's wildfires. 500 million animals have lost their lives. This is incredible. So why are not massive weather modification programs underway to alleviate the conditions? Because I think, right now people are vocalizing something that's probably to the opposite end of that in their mind, perhaps. I just feel like I just heard a whole bunch of you just saying kind of the opposite going on. And, these fires are just roaring through this area. So it just begs you to ask the question. And why is not then, Australia asking the U.S. perhaps to come in with its weather modification technology, because it obviously has a ton, and help them get rid of these fires. As we see, birds are falling out of trees. So many animals have been rescued, but unfortunately, 500 million have lost their lives in these fires, as well as humans and houses and possessions, and it's just horrible. It's absolutely horrible. It's incredible. Up to 8,000 koalas, a third of the entire population in the New South Wales mid-coast area, are believed to have been killed in the last 4 months. Adorable little things as we see these raging fires. We have the technology. It's pretty obvious we have the technology. Again, why is there no will? And why aren't more people speaking up about this? As we see these apocalyptic red skies. And, the air quality is like 26 to 28 times what's thought to be very hazardous to your health. It's incredible what's going on here. So why don't we have, real efforts to use this weather modification right now to help everybody in Australia? And we see the Australian Prime Minister jeered in wildfire-ravaged zones. A lot of people are waking up that, not enough is being done. So many politicians, they just care about themselves and their egos and their lifestyles. And here we have a list of 100 U.S. patents related to weather modification. If anybody wants to go ahead and look, every now and then you'll see somebody say, "Oh, those are contrails." And, it's like at this point in time, we just want to laugh at their stupidity. And, it's time for us to be a little bit more forceful. I think, now that we're in 2020 here, everything is rapidly heading to a boil. And we know there's turning points, and this year is a turning point. And it's time for us to be a lot more vocal, a lot more assertive. Just come straight out and say it. You see right here, these patents go back a long time. 1891. July 16th, 1891, method of producing rainfall. Over here, a rainmaker back in 1913. It just goes on and on. This has been around for so long. Cloud seeding apparatuses, 1967. Why aren't we doing this? En masse over these horrible fires. What's the bigger purpose here? What's the bigger agenda? Is it just negligence? They don't care? Is that what's going on? They simply don't care? Solar temperature inversion device. See, this is why, like a while back too, and I got so much slack for it, I was even questioning the grand solar minimum to a degree. And just because, obviously the sun doesn't look the same, but there's never a day that goes by when there's not spraying. And so how do we know what the sun really looks like now? Because our atmosphere has been so modified. And, this modification, well, most of what we've seen, and we've had people analyze it, tons of aluminum, tons of barium. So it's shooting energy back out. It's taking the solar energy, reflecting it back out into space, which would make us cooler, obviously. And so you got to question everything. I hate it when people get dogmatic and they just close their minds, because then they're ripe for manipulation. As soon as you just, take a stance and will no longer look at evidence, then, you are so ripe for manipulation. And so many people are so completely manipulable and have been manipulated en masse. And that is why we have so much of this going on here. There's tons of things out there. And then, of course, there's advanced military that blows our mind as far as the technology that we see. and methods of suppressing formation of contrails, and solution, therefore. And we've had patents come up showing that there's anti-gravity, you name it. There's advanced lasers, and we have lasers up on satellites. There's patents for that as well. We've covered that in different videos. So look way back here, stratospheric Welsbach seeding for reduction of global warming back in 1991. So, you got to wonder. And I, for one, when I look at all the UFOs that are in medieval paintings and, sightings that we've seen going back into prehistory and all the different native cultures around the world that talk about beings flying by in the skies and stuff, you wonder how long this has really been going on. Maybe not everybody died in Atlantis and Lemuria. Maybe some technology survived on the inside of the planet. Maybe it's been used right out in the open. And maybe it still is being used. So, again, I got a question. If Indonesia, and it takes us a country like that to come out and say that they're using weather modification, because, they're not the US, the UK, they're not Russia, China, the bigger countries. Although it seems like, we here in the U.S. and in the U.K. And Canada and Australia, we don't get even a kernel of what's really going on as far as truth. Just a lot of bluster and a lot of BS. So, my friends, as always, like, share, subscribe. Thank you for your support. Come join us on Patreon and Ko-Fi. Keep the channel going through these times of censorship. And as always, be prepared and have a plan out there, my friends. God bless and namaste.